wartime speech to the U.S. Congress. He's expected to reiterate his call for a no-fly zone and fighter jets, requests the U.S. and NATO have so far resisted, the no-fly zone in particular. Mr. Zelensky called NATO's principle of collective defense weak on Tuesday, and he suggested he doesn't expect NATO membership soon, which is interesting thing for him to say publicly. Ukraine never joining NATO was a repeated demand by Russia in the run-up to this invasion.
For years we have been hearing about how the door is supposedly open to NATO membership, but now we hear that we cannot enter that door. And it is true, and it must be acknowledged. I am glad that our people are beginning to understand this and rely on themselves and on our partners who assist us.
Well, after Mr. Zelensky's speech to Congress, the U.S. president is expected to announce another round of assistance to Ukraine. This comes as Joe Biden plans a trip to Europe next week to attend a meeting of NATO leaders and the European Council. Caitlin Collins has details from the diplomatic front.
Yeah, President Zelensky and President Biden both expected to give major speeches on Wednesday. First, Ukrainian President Zelensky is going to address the United States Congress, where we know he's going to thank the United States for the support that they've given to Ukraine since Russia invaded, but he's also expected to ask the West for more assistance. And two of his major demands have been to create a no-fly zone over Ukraine and also to send the Ukrainian Air Force more fighter jets. Two things that have been firm no's from the White House so far, citing conflicts that they believe that could draw the United States into, and of course the high-risk situation of transferring planes into Ukraine as Russia is attacking it. Of course, Zelensky could ask for other assistance in this speech that he is going to give to Congress, and we will hear from President Biden later on, where he is going to announce $800 million in new assistance to Ukraine. That would bring the total in the last week to about $1 billion in new lethal assistance that the United States has provided to Ukraine. Obviously, they will try to get that in as quickly as possible. We'll still wait for specifics from President Biden on what that's going to look like, whether or not it includes those armed drones that Zelensky and other Ukrainian officials have talked about that they need at this time. And of course, both of these speeches come as the White House says President Biden is preparing to travel to Brussels for an extraordinary meeting with the leaders of NATO next Thursday on March 24th. That's going to happen before a European Council meeting as well, and potentially a trip to Poland, where of course President Biden could come face to face with some of the millions of refugees who have fled Ukraine. Caitlin Collins, CNN, the White House.